Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. We are back again with King Arthur, Knight's Tale. In this video, I want to go over some general tips that will hopefully help make your playthrough as smooth as possible. If there are any good tips that I missed, please feel free to list them below and let me know if there's other content you would like to see for the game. Tip number 1. To save time, let's combine 3 obvious tips. Talk to everyone, save often, do what's fun. Danger is around every corner, and saving regularly will prevent you from losing progress. Individuals with exclamation points above their head will provide you with side quests for extra XP, so make sure you talk with them. You may decide some of the guidance I provide in this video isn't fun for you, and that's completely fine. Do whatever works for you and will make you happy. Tip number 2, look at the map. Every map in this game has a specific objective you need to accomplish. Oftentimes, if you look at the map, this objective will be clearly marked, and you can see grayed out paths for how to get there. This is important because that objective is the only thing you need to accomplish. All the other areas are either side quests or random fights you can get into for items and XP. Healing is limited during missions, and you cannot equip new potions, so if you are running low on resources or just want to get the mission over with, it might be best to make a beeline for the objective and just take care of it. Even if you do plan to do everything, the map will tell you where camps are located, which allows you to recharge armor or HP. Clearing a path to those camps first ensures you will be able to heal up when you need to. Tip number 3. Unlock hero slots from the round table ASAP. So in this game, you take control of Camelot, and there's a large amount of expensive options for you to unlock. You definitely want to unlock the hospital and cathedral so you can heal vitality and injuries respectively. You probably also want the merchant so you can sell items. After that though, I would highly recommend you focus on the first 2 round table unlocks. At the beginning of the game, your main quest level is higher than your character level, so you'll need to do side quests before moving forward. Many of these quests will add a knight onto your roster. If you don't have an open team slot, these knights will sit in your aspirant hero section, which is essentially your bench. Knights on the bench cannot be used for anything, including missions or events. They also gain no XP, so essentially it's dead weight. Make sure you have slots open to make the most of your recruits. Tip number 4. Still on Camelot upgrades, be sure to unlock the training ground after those round table slots. Knights on your roster do not automatically gain XP, and sometimes you might recruit a character who is 2 levels or more below you. The most consistent way to increase a knight's level without taking them on a mission is the training ground. You can use it to respec your knights as well. Tip number 5, your formation matters. In the lower left, you will notice different buttons to change your team's formation. For the first few levels, this isn't very relevant because the majority of fights start with allowing you to manually select where your characters will be positioned. It will not be long before that stops being the case, and the game will kick off fights in whatever formation your characters are in when the fight started. Keep in mind that in 90% of fights, you will get the first turn. So when selecting a formation, you don't necessarily need to have your tanks up front. I personally have Sir Mordred and my archer, Lady Dendraine, side by side in the front. Archers can have their view obscured by fellow knights, and having her up front ensures when the fight starts, she will have a clear view to shoot anyone I choose. Then once she is finished, I bring up Mordred and my champion to ensure none of the enemy melee fighters overrun her. Put some thought into it based on how your team is structured and make sure you are set up for success. Tip number 6, decide your morality early. The game has a system where you choose your morality and religion. You really want to decide where you stand early in the game. All of them have mutually exclusive benefits that range from Camelot upgrades to knights you can recruit. It takes a long time for your rank to be high enough to get the best perks, especially if you flip-flop on your choices. Also, it is very difficult to keep party members loyal if they have an opposing religion to you. For example, my Sir Mordred has an almost maxed out Christianity level, and consequently I take a -7 penalty to loyalty with Merlin since he believes in the old faith. Low loyalty reduces heroes' damage and action points in combat. It can also result in a knight leaving your team. Consequently, for the most part, you want to stick with knights who are neutral or have the same religion as you, or at the very least, make a conscious decision to keep around someone you won't be able to max out properly, the way I am with Merlin and Queen Guinevere. Tip number 7, give extra skill points to Sir Mordred. Throughout the game, you will loot books that give a large amount of XP or come across shrines that give knights an additional skill point. In my opinion, you should give all of them to Sir Mordred. The reason for this is he is your tank and you absolutely need to take tank abilities for him to survive. At the same time, fights will take longer than they need to if he has no offensive capabilities. Giving him those extra skill points will allow him to tank effectively while at the same time doing respectable damage to keep fights moving. Your other knights don't have to play double roles in this manner, so they will be effective without the extra skill points. Quick note before we get into the last couple of tips. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate you hitting the like button. This information tells me which content the channel is enjoying and helps my video spread to more people. I really appreciate all of the support. Tip number 8. You don't have to destroy downed lost ones. So in this game, the undead are referred to as lost ones, and when their health reaches 0, they will kneel down with the green number above the body. If that number reaches 0, the creature will rise again, which obviously can be really annoying. You can manually attack the creature while it's kneeling to destroy it permanently. However, the game never clearly states this is not necessary. If you get all the creatures you are battling to kneel at the same time, they will explode and the fight will end. So in these situations, you have to ask yourself how quickly you can reasonably end the fight if you choose to ignore the kneeling enemies. Tip number 9, consider your elements carefully. The game lets you deal bleeding, poison, ice, and fire damage. The lost ones I already mentioned are immune to bleeding and poison. There are a ton of those enemies in the beginning of the game. Later in the game, there's a much greater variety of enemies, most of whom are not immune to that damage. I am at least 3/4 of the way through the game and have never met anyone immune to ice or fire. Enemies wielding axes doused in fire are still harmed by fire, and winter creatures are still harmed by ice. Poison and bleeding builds can be very effective in this game. Just make sure you are checking what enemies are immune to your particular setup. The mission menu allows you to see what enemies you are going to face. Tip number 10, and the last tip of this video, the more the merrier, meaning you should focus on combat abilities that let you hit as many enemies as possible. In the beginning of the game, it's fine if you are hitting one enemy at a time with all 4 characters. By mid-game and especially late game, that just will not cut it. Even if you hit like a Mack truck, there will be so many enemies running around, your team will be overwhelmed and it will not matter. It's your choice whether melee, ranged, or magic is how you mow down groups, but make sure you focus on builds that let you take on groups 3 times your size. That is my full list of tips for King Arthur Knight's Tale. Again, this is a huge game, so I am sure there are some great tips I missed. Please feel free to list them down below and let me know if there's any other content you are looking for. Hope all of you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a like, share this content, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.